Welcome back, everyone. If you're new here, my name is Bryan Jenks, and today we're going to talk about Scrintal. If you like diagramming, visual orientation of your notes, and basically having a more visual approach to knowledge management and thought work, then this is going to be the application for you. We're going to dive in deep and take a look at Scrintal. The best ways to support the channel are, if you're going to do it on an ongoing basis, GitHub sponsors because they take no fees, followed by Patreon. If you're going to do like a one-time thing, buy me a coffee, PayPal, or just fine. And if you just want to support me without any money involved, the best thing you can do is like, comment, subscribe, share the video, and that's it. Currently, Scrintal is in early access, and you can request access through there and be a beta tester. There are a lot of unique features that they use, lots of ideas and things on their site that they give explanations and examples for. And at the moment, the early open access is $5 a month. Now, there is a waitlist for the free personal version, and for lifetime, this is sort of, a similar pricing model that Rome Research took a little bit in the beginning, but probably a little friendlier. So let's check out Scrintal in detail. So this is Scrintal. One of the things that I really love about Scrintal thus far is that there are a plethora of hotkeys. And if you know me, you know I love hotkeys, which makes it very easy to just get productive things done, get your hand off the mouse, and just speed through actions on an application. So I can add a list here. Let's do a bulleted list. And what are the things that I like? Well, for one, hotkeys. Second thing I really like is the minimal design, which is there are a lot of things here, but it's not just overwhelmingly inundating you. It's very clean, it's very elegant, and it gets out of its own way. There is an infinite canvas, so there's plenty of room to spread everything out, look at it all, top level, organize it, and move it around. Infinite canvas, which is always really handy. Something we'll get into more in a little bit later is the Markdown import, where you can easily just import a whole batch of notes from something like Notion or Obsidian, and even have all of the linkages between the cards maintained. Very, very handy feature, and we'll do that later, and I'll show you some of the research that I've been doing. Next, I also really like that this is very close to a pure zettelkasten system. So zettelkasten, I mean, if you're going to pronounce it more correctly to German or Deutsch, it's going to be zettelkasten, is built off of index cards. Index cards inside of a box, and the interplay between literature and atomic notes. So what I really like about Scrintal as it applies to that paradigm is that you have these atomic cards, and it really is like keeping them inside of a slit box. You add them to boards, then they go back to where they are. They maintain linkages to other cards, but there's not folders. There's even less organization capacity than Obsidian, and there's no graph. So it is really a lot closer to a pure zettelkasten system. I'm going to say zettelkasten or kasten interchangeably because #American. But again, I'm going to reiterate the atomic, if I could spell, the atomic cards, because you can have these atomic ideas in individual cards, and because it's on an actual card versus like a markdown note such as Obsidian, it actually even feels more like the pure spirit of zettelkasten, because when you just see a tiny little card with a tiny idea on it, it feels easier to just keep it small and atomic. Next, I like the boards and the organization that comes with using the boards paradigm inside of Scrintal. And there are just so many things to go off from here, but these are some of the features that I really, really enjoy a lot thus far. I don't think I can really zoom in much at all, so sorry if anybody needs to zoom in a little closer. Sorry. But we're going to dive in to the feature set here and really just have some fun. There we go. I did manage to zoom in. So if you want to see the hotkeys I'm using, they're going to be a little key thing here so you can see that. But wow, where to begin? So we also, of course, have buttons, but if you want to use hotkeys, you totally can. So to add new items, there are a variety of options here. C adds just a plain new card that it's just going to prompt you for a title, and it might be a little laggy from all the stuff running on my machine. Hello card. And so enter, and now it's a new card, and it pops open for you. So I can just get right to town, start playing around, put in new content, new ideas, and it does use the / commands, the same thing as Notion and Obsidian. I can say hello world, and then do like a /, make it an H1, or at least 1, and now I can, well, there are still some bugs. I'm not sure what is bugs and what is not, but this is an H1 heading, if I could spell. And so then we can put in some new content, escape to get out of it, and oh wait, I wanted to open that back up. O to open that up again. O to open it up, and you can just keep on putting in new content. Now we have B for boards, if we're going to insert a new board, which you can think of boards kind of like a temporary folder. Like the boards themselves are just like displays of the cards that are currently in your overall slipbox. I'm just going to say that. Slipbox is just really just like a nebula of cards, and you can add them to boards. They can be on several different boards at once. You can clear the boards. The boards are transient. They don't have to be, but they can be, and you can treat them that way. And currently we're not on a board, we are looking at the My Desk, which is kind of like just your actual workplace, your desk in your office. Like this is the place where you're doing your work. It's like a giant scratch pad. And if we ever wanted to just clear off this desk, I could just do, in my case because I'm Mac, it would be Control on Windows, but Command, Shift, Backspace, and that just clears the entire desk. So now where's all my stuff? Well, now you can see it under Recents. There's some cards here. There's the board would also appear here if I had put anything on it, but all the items still exist. They were not deleted. They were just cleared from the desk. So now I could go to cards, for instance, and I could find them in here and say, oh, there's the hello card, there's the Scrintal features, and I could actually edit the cards from this cards menu. Same thing with boards, is that I could open up boards, and I would see, the board that I just made that I was showing. Now there are some other stuff in here because I've been playing around, but now I want to add a card to this board, and now you can do that with several different options. So what I don't like thus far is I don't think I can actually add this card to, oh, so it's that button. So if I want to add this card that I just opened up to, I can use the spotlight to search for it, determine if I actually want this on the board. And so if I do the spotlight hotkey, Command-Shift-K, it's going to let me open up this, and I can say test. Now there's a bunch of different things in here, but I can select something, open up that card, but then if I want to add it to this actual board, I can press this little like location icon, and bam, now it's actually on this board. There are a bunch of different hotkeys that let you interact with the boards, like I showed you clearing it with Command-Shift-Backspace, but there's also organize, because what if you have just a smattering of cards everywhere, and you want to have it just kind of automatically organized and structured for you. I could do Command-Shift-O for organize. There's only 2 of them, so it's not really going to do too much, but you could see that now it organized everything, and now it's all visible. And there, oh my gosh, the features just go on and on. But we have the ability to color or align or duplicate, tagging, so many different things. But let's take a look at some of these things individually. The cards themselves in Scrintal are the atomic pieces of knowledge, but they should be treated as the smallest unit of work that we're going to do in here. Now if I open this card up, I don't want to edit the title, I want to open the card. If I open this card up, you can see there's a bunch of different content in here. Oh, tags. Yes, there are tags in Scrintal. Now, if I wanted to have like a focus view, I could really open this up and put this inside of a focus view, which is basically just like a normal text editor in the browser. But then at the bottom of the card, we have all of these different metadata sections. There's links, web links, appears in, and related cards. Now, what are each of these and what do they mean and what do they do? So links are basically the same as the paradigm in Obsidian, the double brackets and actually linking a card to another card. So these are these bidirectional links, and they do act bidirectionally inside of Scrintal as well. So it's a very useful feature. Web links are literally just URLs to external sites and services that are present in the note. And this is because I have timestamp notes and stuff in here. So that's a web link. Appears in happens when you have this card on a board. It tells you what boards this card is in inside of Scrintal. And related cards, this appears because of the tags. So because this card is hashtag imported, then that means that these are the other ones that are under that hashtag and that might be related to this card. So all of these are automatically generated. None of this has to be typed at all. It's all just depending on the behavior of the card. Now, if I want to add a link to additional cards that exist, I have at least three ways to do it. Now, one, you saw me, oh, you didn't see me, but I did drag a link from this card to this one. Now, if I can select this, it'll be a little easier to show. There we go. So I can select this node and actually pull it over to another card and have that card linked. And now you can see they both have a 1 on it because they are linked to one card. But it is bidirectionally, even if though I pointed this card to this card, which is why the arrow goes that way. So if I open up Scrintal features down at the bottom, backlinks. It's because this one does not have the arrow coming away from it, it has it going into it. So this is a backlink back to this note, but they are treated bidirectionally even if they are filed under different headings right here. This one says backlinks, whereas this one says links. So the arrow direction does matter, and it does tell you which one it is. Now there are several other ways to add links to different cards. Now you saw the GUI approach, which is the dragging and linking that way. Now another way of doing it is by typing a plus sign. And this lets you actually type the name of a note. Let's do 2.0, and there should be, there we go, linking to another card, and now I have linked to that card. And then a third way is doing the / option, which is insert card border link, which basically does the same thing of adding the plus sign. So we could say rage, and it would find that one. And so now this is now linked to two other notes or cards that aren't even on this board. And that's cool. So now I can close those, and we can see that this one now has 3 links. So several ways to link different cards, and you can have them bidirectionally. Really handy. Now these are just the regular cards. There are other types of cards inside of Scrintal. There's daily cards, there's text, which isn't a card, columns, and web links. So of the things that can actually hold content, you're looking at cards and daily cards, and then columns are kind of just like a structure around existing cards, but really it's cards are the smallest unit of work. Now we created a board, which is what we're on, and we added some cards to it that already existed. We could add new ones to this board at will, press C, new card, bam, it exists. But if I did D for a daily note or a daily card, then I can create a daily card, which does organize it by date. There's no like explicit organization of the daily cards. It's just, it is a daily card. Now you can change the format of the dates inside of settings, and we'll look at that later. But now I have this daily card, and so I can easily just add to this over time. Now, what are texts? Well, it's just floating text out here. Hello world. It doesn't hold anything. It looks like we can potentially link it, but if I can drag it, I guess no, I'm not gonna bother with it. Oh, so no, we cannot connect this to anything, but you can add new ones by clicking on it and then adding those plus signs. So, woohoo, text. Next thing we have is the columns. Now I haven't played around with columns too much, but if we select create new card, then it's kind of like Kanban. And I can add new columns like that. Well, if clicking on other things doesn't get in the way, but we can easily add new columns, create new cards, and in this way you could have sort of like a Kanban workflow. So that could have its uses. And then we also have web links. So if I did L, press that, and then say my website, well, google.com, then add, and now you have a link to google.com. Now if you add a link, then that will actually appear underneath web links underneath this pane, which is kind of like a search all for your entire knowledge base. Now inside of tags is where all of the tags will be listed. So if we went to these different locations, you can see I have one tag which is imported, web links, which has a whole smattering of links, and I haven't found a way to delete them from this menu once you've added a link to something. So take that for what it is. Now, going back to the board. So we've seen all the different types of cards that we can add and all the different things we can add. Now you've seen this tag imported. Now I can add new tags by either clicking on the card and right-clicking on it and doing tag, and you can see right-clicking gives you even more options. Toggling layouts, which kind of just like shrinks the card, just title or more of the content. We can duplicate them, open them in that giant focused view. We can star them, which is another really useful feature. You can see I got a bunch of boards starred over here, but we can star different items, such as our most popular boards that we're working off of or projects. Continuing on, we can create boards just by right-clicking. We can copy a link to a specific card and then paste that somewhere else. Downloading it as Markdown or PDF, we'll check that out in a bit. Archiving, and then deleting. So there's a bunch of different options, and some of this stuff just gets out of your way. It's available, but it's kind of, put away inside of other menus or buttons. So we do have undo, redo, which is kind of intuitive. And yeah, so now that I have this basic functionality, where do we go from here? How might I apply this to a workflow? So to test this out on a real workflow-like situation, let's actually do an import of some existing work of mine and see what we can do with it. So inside of Scrintal, you can actually import an entire folder, or basically an entire vault from Obsidian, and it maintains the linkages and tags, everything between the cards themselves. So if I went to cards, and I went to the ellipsis at the top and import cards, which I already did, and I'm not going to do that again, but you can select a folder from your file system, which is basically any folder in Obsidian. Select that, and it will import all of the notes inside of that folder, and then already generate the connected board for those notes. So that's basically what I did, and so here's all of those notes already imported, and I can select them all. And if you have trouble selecting them, hold Shift and then click. Having a click, Shift, and then click lower and a multiple selection would be really handy at this point, but it's not there yet. But I can select all the ones that I want, and I can create a board with those selected cards, which is what I'm going to do. And now what that will let me do is create a new one, and then I can rename it to something I want. So let's rename this board, which is what it is. This is my autism research. And where are all my cards? I only see one thing. Well, basically I just added a bunch of stuff here. They're all stacked. Remember that hotkey from earlier? Command-Shift-O for organize. Let's do that. And bam. So now I can also click, because I can't see everything, and let's fit all to screen. And you can see that I have several different things laid out here, including, if I hold space, if I hold Control or Command, I can zoom in, and we can see that several of these different cards are all linked to each other. This is based on the bidirectional links from Obsidian being carried over into Scrintal, which is pretty handy and cool. Now this also, if I had the tags inside the text, which I didn't, I did a lot of YAML metadata inside my Obsidian tags, so not a lot of tags have been maintained. But when you import something from Obsidian, that's what gets it the hashtag import or imported hashtag, which is why everything appeared to have that, which is why they're all related to each other. So I can pop into this card, I can look at the content, and this is everything exactly defined from Obsidian. But now we also have all the metadata that's already here from just the interplay of the cards in Scrintal, the backlinks, the web links, it appears on this board, and the related cards that are also imported. So awesome, I can import an entire folder or even an entire Obsidian vault and have all of my stuff here ready to work with. This is pretty handy. Let's say that we have different note cards that are source notes, like the ones that have the symbols at the beginning. I can actually change the colors of these notes. Let's say I want all my source notes to have this orange color, if things don't lag and they load. So that way I can change colors of cards, I can keep track of them, I could do the columns additional thing over here, which will let me add like a Kanban view of cards, and I could do that for, say, the processing of notes or the processing of inputs, and then I could have those input notes linked to other cards, and it just continues to go on from there. This is like a visual layout of a spread out note card system on your desk that lets you get to work, create productive items, and just see it all in one place. And then when you're done, you can put your cards back in their box because you can just clear this board because you're done with it, or keep it. It's up to you. So there's a lot of things that we can do with this. All right, now there are some really cool exporting options. I can select a card and I can download it as Markdown. So if I've already done this and I've imported something from Obsidian, I might not do this, but I can export this and then actually open up that Markdown file, and it will open up a file of Markdown with all of the content in there. It's basically the exact same thing that I already have in my Obsidian vault that I just imported into Scrintal. But if you create it in Scrintal, you can totally export it like this and plop it back into Obsidian, for instance. But now what I can also do is I can export this as a PDF straight from in here. Now, I will say that right now, at this moment, there is a bug that I think is a bug, where if I try to right-click on this and download as a PDF, it doesn't actually save the content, if I'm not mistaken, because it basically just uses a print to PDF feature because this is within the browser. And even the actual desktop application, I believe it's just a PWA, or a progressive web app. So it's basically like a browser tab, but as an application. So if I tried to do this, I believe it goes and stays blank and doesn't have the content, because that's what the test on another card revealed at one point. I already found a workaround, so yeah, it is blank. There's nothing there. But if you open up the card and actually select that option from within the card, it works just fine to print to PDF. So we click the ellipsis, save to PDF, and it will run through the same options and give us a nice, pretty output. So there's a nice demo of what it's going to show you if it printed. So, nice. And so we can save that. Everything's lagging on my computer, so sorry about that. And then now you have a PDF to work with. Now, if you have multiple cards, you can't bulk select a bunch of cards and then export to a PDF and it combine them all like that. I mean, that would be super awesome. That would be ideal. It doesn't do that yet. So if you have a bunch of things that you need to export and you want to combine it into a single PDF, one thing you could do is just export them like this and then use a tool like I did mention on my ADHD tools video. There's I forget the exact name, but a smattering of tools like combine multiple PDFs. So there's super simple ways of getting around these issues if you do encounter them and they are roadblocks to you. So eventually, once that downloads, it might take a bit because of lag. We'll come back when it's finished. So then after actually exporting the PDF, we can see now, here it is. Now, it doesn't look as clean or as nice as other ways of producing the PDFs. I'm not sure if Obsidian would handle it better. It's also likely because I have a lot of HTML components inside of my templates, so that could also just be the explanation. But yeah, so producing PDFs, and you can combine them later. There's just a whole slew of things. So again, another note on tags. So like I say in Obsidian, tags are useful for a contextless grouping of things. Now, because boards in Scrintal are transient, you can add cards willy-nilly to it, remove them, clear out the whole board, start again, whatever. But tags you can use to not only get a list of, you can see all the way at the bottom, of related cards, but also we could see a list of potentially your seedlings, your notes that are in processing, your evergreen notes. Like there's a variety of things that you can do. And you can even add parent-child tags. So these nested tags with the slash and continuing on, just like in Obsidian, we can also add these for different levels of the tag itself. Now, I'm not sure if it would treat it as a separate entity simply because of the paradigm in here. So let's try seedling and see how that would interact. So if I go to tags, it does treat them as separate. So in this way, we could use this as a differentiation between the two tags, but it doesn't really sort them like it does in Obsidian with the parent-child tags. But in essence, it's like having the feature, but with a little bit less complexity. Now, personally, this bright screen is a little much for my eyes. I don't really like bright screens, which is why, thankfully, in the settings, there are things like dark mode. Huzzah, yay for dark mode. And what we also have in here is a couple options that let you customize the interface that you get to interact with. If you want to change the canvas grid, it can be several different things, such as, I like dotted line because it reminds me of bullet journals or the Moleskine notebooks, but you could have none, you could have solid lines, and this is your infinite canvas. It can be what you want. And for date style, it can be any of these three options. One thing I don't like about this is that it still, for the month, it actually inputs the full name of the month instead of it just being numbers. And even then, it doesn't let me customize it further, like saying the actual ISO 8601 date of year-month-day, which is my preference. So you get what you get. That's fine. And there's also templates. So with templates, it's not like the templater templates in Obsidian. This is more of like some ideas of boards that you could use. Now, they might expand this feature in the future, but at the moment you can actually import these sample boards, and you can see what they kind of give you. Just a bunch of blank notes lets you take things away and go from there. Daily planner, a reading and note-taking system, a brainstorming board, and a planning board. Lots of options, things to play around with. So they give you these templates to import and play with, just to give you an idea of what to do. And this is also before you even import all of your stuff into Scrintal to actually see all of your notes laid out and connected, but in this new tool and paradigm. And then finally, there's shortcuts, and boy, are there a lot, which really does help because I love my shortcuts. Overall, I think Scrintal is really awesome. For early access, there's a lot of really great features. It's really keeping close to the spirit of zettelkasten in having these atomic cards, transient boards, being able to spread everything out on your desk, clear it easily, link things together, and produce output. It's a clean, minimalistic approach to the zettelkasten system, and it just gets out of your way. Love the hotkeys, love that there's already a dark mode. It's practically an essential these days, and there's a lot of room that this could expand into and a lot of things that could be added, but for an early access, this is awesome. And also, there is a collaborative component. You can invite people to your boards. You can share the board and actually invite people to work collaboratively on the same things. So if you have a research group and you want to take notes and create diagrams on particular papers or like summaries of different papers or subjects or books, that's totally feasible and possible. We can even share content. You could share an entire board and you could share just a selection of cards or even a single card by sharing it, and you can make it public and read only, and you can actually share that content to whoever you send the link to. So not only is it collaborative, you can also create something that is shareable and viewable by other people. Hey, check out this note I wrote. But it's also relying on this interlinking and interplay of different atomic pieces of knowledge, which is just cool. And then you can import your Obsidian stuff. So then you have all of your Obsidian linkages and notes just bam, right there in this new system. So have fun with this, play with it, let me know what you think. If you're interested in trying out Scrintal and you want to get a discount, you can get 20% off for the first 4 weeks after this video is published by using the code Jenks20. I'll put it on the little screen here as well as the link, and you can find it in the video description as well. That's 20% off of the price for 4 weeks after this video goes public. So take advantage of the offer, try it out, play with it, see if you like it, let me know. I want to know your thoughts, and I will catch you all in the next one.